In my mind, there's one choice for roofing around here, and I'd go with your best choice. Whether it's time to replace your roof or repair it, Best Choice Roofing provides top-notch roofing services tailored to meet the unique needs of Detroit homes and businesses. They serve the region and inside the city of Detroit, too. You can find out more at bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit. That's bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit, or call 313-474-7031. That's 313-474-7031. Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan. I am Jer Stays. It is Friday, September 12th, 2025. And joining me from west of Woodward, as I am, well, I like to call my heart, my home is east of Woodward. I am currently one block west of Woodward, but you are very west of Woodward. Mr. Devin O'Reilly, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Jared. But you know what's interesting is I actually just came from far east of Woodward. So we've been just traversing and crossing Woodward willy-nilly here without getting
We are changing the paradigm or paradigm. I always call it paradigm.
It feels better that way. So yeah, I guess I am west of Woodward again in my friendly confines. But I was east of Woodward. So do you want to hear about that?
I very much do, sir. I very much do.
I was at a place on I want to say maybe some East Siders can correct me, but I believe I was on the Nautical Mile. I stopped at a place because I had an afternoon meeting out in Grosse Pointe, St. Clair Shores area. And as you know, I always look for a new place to check out anytime I have an opportunity to. And so I had a little solo lunch at Doc's Grillhouse, DOX Grillhouse, which it looked like a very impressive new building. Like if you go to like their Instagram or their website, it's like a very it's black with like paneling, and there's outdoor seating. It's a huge indoor seating area, and they've got this big round bar, a bunch of sports TVs. I'll give credit where credit's due. It's the type of place that I wish I had close by in Dearborn. It's like better than Buffalo Wild Wings, kind of like elevated bar and grill food. They also have an actual full cocktail list, so I got to get myself an añejo old fashioned. It was perfectly lovely.
Well, you know, one thing that we on the east side have that you do not, which means that you cannot have something like Doc's, is that you don't have access to the river over there in Dearborn. I mean, you have a river. I mean, I guess you could put it on the Rouge River, but that would be kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what, Jared? It's funny you say that because you're right in that there are little to no opportunities to have any kind of waterfront dining in Dearborn. We're in a lot of places on the kind of the near west side where you get to like Wyandotte. But I will say there is something, I'm just going to tease this. There is something under construction right now that is going to have a waterfront cocktail bar.
Ooh.
In Dearborn.
Ooh.
So
really?
More to come, Jared. But yes, I'll spill one more bean and say I pass it almost every day to get going to work. So it'd be nice.
That does sound good. Okay, so if somebody finds themselves at Doc's, what did you get?
They have a huge menu. So first to say, the menu includes pizzas, calzones, pastas, sandwiches. I wasn't feeling that heavy because, like I said, I was just eating lunch and I had a meeting. So I went with the street corn quesadilla, which was hefty, but just enough. And I got myself an añejo old fashioned.
You know, of course it had corn in it. Of course it did.
It had to have corn, Jack. It had delightful corn. It had corn in it and corn on the side because that's how I like it.
I thought of you when I went to the Detroit sandwich party. One of the vendors outside of the sandwich party is literally the Corn King. Have you seen this guy? And it's got like a smiling face on a corn cob. No. I want to Photoshop your head on the front of the Corn King.
I know, man. I have to talk to this Corn King. I mean, I spent some time with corn on the corner. I should get to know the Corn King as well.
Next time you make it to Eastern Market, right? Good family trip.
Absolutely. Need to look forward to more of those, especially in the fall. But yeah, so had a great time at Doc's, spent some time in the Nautical Mile. The only thing, Jer, is the traffic between the east side and the west side is a you-know-what. I mean, it's like 40 plus minutes just in the middle of the day. I do not like that. And that's part of the reason why I don't make that traversing very often.
Did you take 94?
You have to. I mean, I guess I could have tried to take, if anyone's got any secret, cross east to west or west to east cut throughs, but you gotta go 94. And I don't know what else. And 94 just sucks right now.
Oh, yeah. And it may even get worse because there's going to be some more construction happening to the east of downtown coming up next year.
Ugh, I don't want to hear about it. I guess you're right, Jared. I'm just trying to think of what to do. You could try and like drop down to Jefferson and take the southernmost pass at it, but I don't know. There's really no good way.
Well, there's Jefferson, which is the scenic route. And then, depending on how you cut your angles, there's always Gratiot.
Yeah, but how am I getting to Gratiot from where I'm at?
You know, that's a Macomb County problem.
Exactly. I don't know like Gratiot. I got to get to Gratiot first.
Listen, I know we got a bunch of listeners in Macomb County. If you've got ideas, I know we got listeners actually that go from one side to the other for the commute. What do you do? Let me know, dailydetroit@gmail.com, because we need to save Devin some time.
Absolutely. Please do. I'm going to be on the east side more often, so I'm going to need some help.
So where I went came to me.
Oh, okay. So something just came to you. You didn't really go anywhere.
No.
It came to you.
Yes, well, thanks to Big Lucci. He came by with the brand new Hungry Howie's Detroit-style pizza.
Okay, so Hungry Howie's is doing a Detroit-style pizza now.
Yes. I feel like everyone's got to enter in this race, right? Because it's now a national thing. Everywhere from Denver to New York, you can find a Detroit-style pizza. So I feel like, they had to throw their hat in the ring, too. I'd gotten like a press thing about it or whatever. And I don't always take free samples. And so, we're just going to go get it ourselves. Because I feel a little weird sometimes. Like some stuff like booze, I'll take. It's a thing, right? If it's only like $20, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do this, right? I try to pay for all of my own food if possible. And so Big Lucci went to our local Hungry Howie's here in the city of Detroit and came back with an 8-piece square deep dish that was the Howie's special that had pepperoni, ham, mushrooms, green pepper, red onion, tomato sauce, Parmesan.
I like all those things. That's a good combo for me. I would veto nothing on that topping.
Really? Okay, so what is the vetoed topping list for you? What is an absolute no?
Ooh, well, that's a good question, Jared. I'm not a big fan of olives on pizza. I'll say that much.
Same.
What else are some popular ones? Let's see. I like the ham. I like the peppers, pepperoni, of course. And I'm even a ham and pineapple guy. Now, you don't want all that together. But I don't mind a little ham and pineapple on the pizza. There's very few things I'll veto, I think. I don't like just a veggie pizza. Just if it's just all veggies, it doesn't do it for me. But I'm not too picky, honestly.
Well, I will suggest one olive on a pizza you should try, because most pizza olives are canned or it's just way too salty, doesn't hit the mark. One pizza with an olive you should try is the Greek at Sapino with the Kalamata olives.
I could see how that could be pretty good.
It's pretty darn good, man. It's a white pizza, too. So it's like Kalamata olives, a little onion, the white sauce. It's very, very good. Consider it. It's a little bit more mild. I would say for your consideration if you wanted to expand your olive horizons.
All right, fair enough. You know what else I don't like on a pizza, honestly, is chicken. I'm not a fan of chicken on a pizza.
Agreed.
I don't think it belongs. It doesn't belong. I get it other places, but pizza, you want the hearty meats.
Well, this whole 8-square pizza was less than $21.
Nowadays, that's good, right?
I mean, we went to a couple other websites that find the same pizza, because not everybody sells the same pizza as like a deal. Whether we did build our own or even stuff that was near it that didn't have meat, it was like $27, $28. So I want to say value for money, pretty good. And taste, I mean, look, it's a different take on Detroit style. One thing I will mention, and I think that Luciano's going to talk about it in the newsletter a little bit, a lot less grease, which I was pretty impressed with.
Okay. So, I mean, Hungry Howie's, it's considered kind of a low-budget pizza, so I'm good to hear that they're actually, doing good stuff.
Well, for me, it's all about price-performance ratio, right? Right? If I'm spending something like $20, I have different expectations. I'll go someplace, and if I'm spending $40 or $35, I have very different expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's hard to justify that much money for a pizza, but I mean, Hungry Howie's, do what you got to do. I don't know if if we have a lot of Hungry Howie's nearby, but I do like their pizza because they still have the flavored crust, but I don't imagine you can do flavored crust with the Detroit style, can you?
I don't know. I didn't look at it. I feel like it could work. The crust had a nice crisp to it. It was fluffy, but it wasn't like the super fluff. You know how some Detroit style pizzas, it's almost to like lasagna level of thickness.
No.
No, this was not that. You know what? Price for the money, I was pretty happy with it. So I just want to put that out there for people. Not sponsored, not supported in any way. Just, I know everyone's looking for a deal nowadays, especially with the prices going up on stuff,
Anywhere you can get a deal, I take it. I mean, $20 or under, or right around $20 is probably about as good as you can ask for. I think the quesadillas I had at Doc's were like 18. So right around there is pretty good.
All right, let's get into some news. We've had some fun, Devin O'Reilly, but this next topic, there were a couple stories that came out, one in Outlier Media, one in the Detroit News, that kind of triangulate a picture that is not as rosy of Detroit's comeback, and I wanted to get into it. I'll set the table a little bit for you with especially this Outlier piece, in that basically that developers are raising alarms about a potential rental market collapse. They're using the word collapse as multiple pressures squeeze landlords to their breaking point. Outlier, their piece was called Detroit Developers Warn of Looming Real Rental Market Meltdown. And I want to talk about that. They report that Detroit landlords are caught in what one developer calls a, quote, perfect storm, unquote, facing skyrocketing insurance costs, high interest rates, expensive maintenance, and what they describe as an increasingly lengthy eviction process. Property owners report thin margins becoming even thinner as they struggle with higher vacancy rates and difficulty collecting rent. The city has built just 1,100 housing units this year, far below the 2,700 needed to keep pace with population growth. More concerning, only 44 of those units were built without government subsidies. There were nearly 600 built without subsidies last year. The city officials are pointing to their billion-dollar affordable housing initiatives and expanded tax incentive programs, but they do say that many market factors remain beyond their control. Tenant advocates say that these eviction reforms are good. The landlords are not big fans of it because what's happening is instead of a process taking 1 or 2 months, it can take 4 or 5 months. And in that time, the tenant's not putting the money into escrow. So there's no money coming in for these things. You've got a bunch of units that are going to be sitting empty. And the quote, and this is from Matthew Temkin of Great Water Opportunity Capital, how long after you got your last paycheck would you keep showing up to work? And the challenge here is if the math's not mathin', this is a bad thing.
It is, Jer. There's a lot of issues with this. And like you said, it was really disheartening to read this, but not surprising because there's no easy fix, right? There's no easy answer. And I think we can waste time debating who's kind of at fault here, but I think we can hopefully settle on the fact that there's a lot of factors and maybe either no one at fault or everyone at fault because multiple things have to change. You know, from that landlord's perspective, they're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know what world we're living in where it's okay to just not pay rent for a bunch of months and into eviction. And then basically, you know, the landlord isn't collecting any money on your unit. Like, I think the regulations should be a lot tighter. So on the landlord side, I say absolutely, there should be tighter regulations on renters. At the same time, it's too friggin' expensive to rent in a lot of places, especially in the greater downtown area, especially some of the closer suburbs or the more desirable suburbs. And so the rent is too dang high. And so how do we figure out a solution that comes to address both of those things? And I think that, you know, I like to use, you know, I'll use the word abundance, and that means a lot of things. And I know I mentioned it in the Discord, and perhaps not everyone agreed, but, you know, let me be clear. I do think it's an abundance issue in the sense that we need to completely just drop back all these regulations on actually building. We have to make building housing in mass much, much less expensive, much quicker, less arduous for developers, cheaper for developers. Let them build it cheaper, and then that in the same sense will bring the cost down, will bring the availability of units up, and it'll be cheaper to rent, but it also won't be negatively affecting the developers and allowing them to still make money because they've been able to build it for cheaper. I mean, that's like, it's math 101, and I'm not giving myself a pat on the back because anyone could say that, but we got to start there at least, Jared. I think that's where we got to start. And we do have to start holding renters accountable. I mean, I'm sorry, like, I have empathy for these people, but at the same time, if you're a landlord, what are you doing if half your building is not paying their rent? You're screwed. You're bankrupt. We got to kind of find an answer.
And that's kind of what they're looking at. Not only for-profit developers, but developers with more of a nonprofit tint were quoted in this piece that I will link to, and I encourage people to read it. I have a couple of thoughts. I think one, when you talk about cheaper, I don't think you're talking about unsafe. I think you're talking about the bucket of regulations that are around a lot of this stuff, whether it's parking spaces or, you know, setback. There's a ton of rules that are out there that aren't about building safety.
Yeah, legal costs and, yeah, I'll say it, over safety regulating things that just aren't super necessary. And building material is just, it's way too expensive to build. Anyone will tell you that. Nobody will disagree that it's way too expensive to build property and units.
The report also gets into the fact that some of these people have not been paying rent since the pandemic. And at that point,
and that's great. That's insane.
Yeah, at that point, like, what are you going to do when you have, and that really is part of what comes down to it. And then there's another report in the Detroit News that talks about the city of Detroit's increasing poverty rate. This is something where it's actually the highest it's been since 2017. This is the reverse of where we want to go. Although incomes have been going up in the city of Detroit, the reality is inflation has taken away a lot of that money. And that is something that I think a lot of people can relate to in a lot of ways. Also interesting, though, Metro Detroit has the second highest poverty rate at nearly 15% of any of the top 25 metro regions. So I think there's some things we got to reset with this, that I really want to be bullish on Detroit's comeback. But are we in a precarious place? Because, one thing I've noticed myself is you've seen a number of buildings that have switched from apartments over to hotels. And I wonder if this ties into this, Devin.
It absolutely ties into this. And that's the problem. You're going to see more of this. And so if we don't do something to address this, what's going to happen is developers writ large are going to find new avenues to make money or find new avenues to do business. And in some cases, what we're seeing, and we've seen it in Detroit with certain developers, is converting apartments into hotels, either extended stay hotels or just regular hotels, or some kind of a combination hybrid, but getting out of the pure kind of apartment condo business, because the money with rentals, it just doesn't make sense anymore. The math isn't mathing. The only thing that's affecting, Jer, is the middle and down, because we see there's still the high-end developments. They're still building apartments that are going to go for $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, $5,000 a month. That's still going to be there at the top of the market. What is just going to stop happening, is that middle market, $1,000 to $1,800 a month. We're just not going to see that, because that's where the math just doesn't work. And then on the low end, you have affordable housing, low income housing, that sort of thing. So what we're really doing with this is, the longer it drags on, is we're just gutting kind of the middle market of rentals, which is the majority of them. So that sucks.
When you're seeing stuff like insurance costs rise, when you're seeing all this, these are issues that are actually happening across the nation. I just don't think we think about them here because we're so used to treating Detroit as quote unquote inexpensive to live in.
Right, which it is not relatively. We're operating from kind of different places where, if you think Detroit is really expensive to live in, I don't know. I think you need to check your perspective. It's really not. I mean, it can be. There are certainly some extremely expensive apartments. But again, the problem is there's no middle market, middle class for Detroit, the rental market. And that's the problem.
One thing that you've mentioned before in our Patreon Discord, which I thought was really interesting, though, yes, there is a cost problem. But on the other side, we also have a real issue with how much people are making. So you look at some of the median incomes, especially in the Detroit News Report, talking about poverty in the city and the region. Although the region, overall has some strength, there are some real pockets of low stuff in a number of suburbs and in the city of Detroit. And the reality is if you're making less than $40,000 a year, it's basically impossible without extremely heavy federal subsidy that is going away under this administration. You can't build new stuff for that price. I don't care how inexpensive you make it.
That's the problem. Our numbers are all out of whack. People aren't making enough money, and so they're not able to afford what we would consider kind of the middle market housing. And so when we talk, or actually more so, when people talk from a national perspective, kind of benchmarking and saying, all right, well, here's what we consider a median income, and this is what a median house should be and a median rent. It's all screwy when you come to Detroit or the metro area, because that just gets thrown off. Our income levels are way too low. Our education levels are way too low. That's a whole other issue entirely. Our housing is actually relatively low, but it doesn't feel that way because we're making so much less. So it's a big problem. I mean, these aren't things that you and I can opine about or pontificate about, but people need to take action. And that's probably people who are in Lansing and people who represent our state at a national level that need to really be helping with that. And then, of course, the city itself.
Well, I think this is part of the challenge of, our national discourse right now is such a mess. Every time I load up social media, you name the service, it feels like I'm hopping in the middle of some sort of conversation between a bunch of people who have completely lost their marbles. What I really dislike in this, among other things, is that we've lost the plot completely on policy. We've lost the plot completely on what is actually going to be effective. People are just like screaming at each other at the top of their lungs. And then the politicians are responding to that. And I feel like local policy is getting ignored, not just in Detroit, but across the country.
Yeah, we're talking past each other and it's getting caught up in the rhetoric. And that's clearly a macro issue. And it's kind of glib, Jared, but I don't know how we solve it. Hate to end on like that, but I don't know how we solve it because I don't think it's getting any better. So I don't know, man. It's tough.
The audience loves predictions. They love an idea of where things are at. What would you say as far as like a caution level or a worry level over the next couple of years with stuff in Detroit and Metro Detroit around this?
I don't panic, Jared. I never panic. So I'm not one for a panic meter, but my caution or concern level is probably about an 8 to 8.5 because it's kind of like they say with the climate change thing. I don't see anybody doing anything about it. So I have no reason to believe it's going to get any better. And without any remedies, it's going to get worse. It will not get better. Rents are all of a sudden not going to come down. The cost of homes is not going to all of a sudden come down. Wages are all of a sudden not going to spike up. I don't know what fairy is going to sprinkle some dust on us to make that happen. It's not going to happen without major change legislatively, again, at a city level, at a state level, and hopefully at a national level. I don't see anyone coming to rescue us. So I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out on the ground because these issues, there's no remedy in sight right now. So maybe it should be higher. Maybe it's like a 9 or 10.
Well, I would love to hear what people think. dailydetroit@gmail.com or 313-789-3211. I hate to let you go on such a dour note, but, I think this was an important thing that we really need to talk about because, it wasn't just one piece. It was a couple of pieces, and it's some important data that I think we need to, look in the mirror honestly about.
No, I agree, Jared. And I encourage everyone to do the research and look up what's going on and see how you can maybe help address that. I don't know, whether it be professionally or personally, but we need to all work together and kind of come together, so to speak, and be rowing in the same direction, or at least generally in the same direction, because we just can't keep talking past each other as nothing gets done. But I don't want to end on a bad note. Let's just talk about, it's going to be a beautiful weekend. Some more football's on. The Tigers are spanking the Yankees and have been all week. They're hopefully going to do it again. And the Lions are going to get their first win of the season and kick the butt of that turncoat Ben Johnson. How about that?
I would love to see it. And you know what? The Lions need it. It would definitely help the season out a lot to go 1-1.
Yeah. The Packers lose, then the whole division will be 1-1, and the Vikings lose. We'll be in good shape. I'll feel good. The Lions need this win.
Well, I appreciate you, Devin O'Reilly.
I appreciate you too, Jer.
All right. Well, with that, we are done for today and the week. Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes who makes this happen. Cheyenne Noserini, producer extraordinaire, engineer of audio and alcohol. Randy Walker, Luciano Marcone, who ends up with, he is kind of the glass king. We've got our glasses that'll be shipping out the door, another wave of glasses for our Patreon members. I'm looking at a stack of them thanks to him.
Can't wait, Jer. I can't wait to sip some over here.
It'll be a very good thing. And of course, thank you to all of you for listening and staying with us. Keep up with everything on dailydetroit.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Oh, and before I forget, September 20th, talking about coming together. We are coming together Saturday, September 20th, the studio open house. There is an event on Eventbrite. Go look it up. I'll have a link in the show notes. Coffee, donuts, conversation. Will be so good to meet so many of you. Trying to do this every month because people said they really like coming in and having a chance to meet up and chat and all that.
I love it. Anytime we can get together and talk face to face, I'm all for that.
100%. Well, with that, I'm Jared Stays. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.